36, 37, 41.
Oh no!
Woo!
The southwest of England boasts some of the most beautiful coastline in Britain. It's also some of the hilliest, but we'll worry about that later.
Big, hard effort.
Officially, the southwest coast stretches from Minehead in Somerset, through Devon, down into Cornwall, swings past Land's End, heads back into Devon, and terminates at Poole Harbour in Dorset. At a distance of just over 600 miles, it's popular to walk its length on a footpath creatively named the Southwest Coast Path. But the plan for this series is not to walk this route. The plan, surprisingly, isn't even to unicycle it. Shocker, right? No, after 3.5 years of riding a unicycle around the world, I've decided to pack it away for now in exchange for a slightly different, slightly more sociable form of transportation. So please join my girlfriend and me on this new adventure as we attempt to ride 600 miles on road around the ridiculously hilly, ridiculously pretty southwest coast of England on a tandem bicycle. This is going to be a fun one. Hello, I'm calling from the Bude police station. Today, in a few hours, there's going to be quite a lot of bad weather.
Yeah, actually, I'm fine. I'm fine to cycle through the night.
What did we go over? I just don't want the whole tyre falling apart and we're going 40 miles an hour down a hill, you know? This story begins in March of this year, flying with Ocala back to the UK.
For your health, always wear your face mask and keep your social distance.
We'd spent the last year and a half living in Kyrgyzstan together, but decided to make a change by coming to Somerset for a few months, spending time with my parents, and preparing for a new cycling adventure. But more on that later. You're free, let loose in the UK.
Oh my god.
As per the law, we needed to quarantine at home with my parents for 10 days. We filled our time making jigsaw puzzles, cooking,
I'm making oroma. It's a Kyrgyz traditional food.
running laps of the garden, and doing whatever this is. Slightly bizarrely, even though we strictly weren't allowed to leave home, we were allowed to travel to a priority post box to post off our PCR tests on day 2 and day 8 of quarantine. But first, we had to stick some swabs up our noses.
You shove it up your nose, don't you?
That's it. Congratulations.
Yeah, I did it. Oh, that was not pleasant at all. Yeah. Oh.
Our nearest priority post box was a couple of miles away, so we took advantage of the few hours of freedom and took the long route to Langport. The only time you're going to be out in the next week.
We're allowed to hug and lick each other.
And that brings us to the exciting day when we were finally let out of quarantine, and the day we'd arranged to pick up our new bicycle. What are we doing today, Charlotte?
This is a secret, and we're not gonna reveal it until you see it. It's a big surprise. It's green, and it's actually double unicycle.
So, Mum's driving us down.
I am. Well, I probably won't see us until you finished your first ride, will I?
Yeah.
Yeah, you will.
Will I?
You can stick around.
Can I? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm excited then.
It's pretty cool because this place called SJS Cycles where we're picking this tandem up from, it's only like 15 miles down the road, and they just happen to be like the leading touring tandem specialist pretty much in the whole world. And they're just like 15 miles from my parents' home.
So somewhere, I'm thinking on the right, but I don't know. So look both sides. I think this is South Street.
Yeah, I'm thinking on the right as well.
So, and I'm kind of thinking.
Yeah, here it is, Thorn. So I think because of the pandemic, they're not letting anyone in the shop. All they're doing is giving the bikes out round the back. I guess it's here, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's
It's a big yellow gate. Hi there.
Okay, guys.
Ever since we hired a tandem back in 2016 and took it on a 4-day trip through Kyrgyzstan, we've always wanted to ride one further. This original tandem, which we dubbed Ralph, was certainly far from perfect. But as it was one of these bikes you're only supposed to hire for 30 minutes and ride around the city bike paths, it was never designed to be. But that didn't stop us spending a couple of days bodging some pannier racks onto it, attaching some camping gear, and heading out on a 140-mile ride into the Kyrgyz mountains. Despite the frustration of having to fix its dodgy chain all the time, chain's fallen off again, climbing the hills with its single gear, and the fear of its inadequate drum brakes not being able to stop us down some of the steeper descents, it was a wonderful trip and a great introduction into the world of tandem touring. Now, 5 years on, we decided to buy something a little bit more suited for long distance riding. Look at that. That's beautiful, isn't it? The bike we decided on was a Thorn Raven Twin Mark II. Its steel frame is fitted with 26-inch mountain bike rims, a pair of Brooks saddles, 3 sets of brakes, S&S couplings which allow the frame to be relatively easily broken in two, Thorn's own pannier luggage racks, a 14-speed geared roll-off hub on the back, and possibly the bit I'm most excited about, a dynamo hub in the front, which means we can power a front light and charge electronics on the go. Oh, and it's a lovely shade of green, which is pretty nice too. Thank you John, Simon, Sarah and the rest of the team at SJS Cycles for getting the bike ready for us. Now all we had to do was ride it back. Shouldn't be that challenging, right? Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, 3, 2, 1,
Way!
It definitely had been 5 years since we'd ridden one, hadn't it? Anywho, after a little wobbling, we soon got back into the groove and were on our way home.
Okay, yeah, it's not the easiest with one hand. Not gonna lie, it's not the easiest with one hand. I'm sure we'll get used to it. Yeah, don't really want to end up in the river, mate.
While I was relearning how to handle a tandem, Ocala also needed time to adjust to being back on the back.
I've been using a normal bike back in Bishkek, and I'm always used to control with this head brakes and valve, and kind of missing at the moment. Really won't be able to have to press the brakes and stop the bike, but yeah, have to get used to it.
It's alright, isn't it? With the bike safely home, it was now time to make a start on prepping it for touring. Because if we were going to ride it 600 miles unsupported around the southwest coast, we were going to need to be able to carry some equipment.
This one is slightly not closing yet. So,
Is it not?
Yeah, unfortunately. So it's kind of like, see. Ah, good. Yeah.
Yeah, if you pull up on this, it will undo it.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine, isn't it?
Yeah. That looks good.
As well as the bike itself, we'd also picked up some Artlist pannier bags from SJS Cycles. And then that just needs to be reversed, so that's basically in the centre, not quite. But neither of us had ever owned proper bicycle panniers before, so it took a little time figuring out how they adjusted. But we got there, and before long, we had 4 very clean-looking panniers connected to our shiny new tandem. Yeah, it looks nice, the little bags, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, 70 litres at the back,
And 70.
and then 30 litres at the front, and then still yet to put on a handlebar bag here. Is that going to work? Yeah, it should do, shouldn't it? Initially I was sceptical that this piece of plastic would be sturdy enough, as it was only held in place with just one single plastic-coated wire. But thanks to the endlessly helpful resource that is YouTube tutorials, underneath, back over, which direction? Was it over, and then through that hole. I got it connected, and this bracket is seriously not going anywhere. That's it. How's that look?
That's great.
Compared to unicycle touring, where attaching luggage was just a total mission, with designing and building custom framework and bags, It was refreshing to be able to just pick up off-the-shelf equipment and for it just to connect and work seamlessly. However, that didn't mean I still wasn't going to modify a few bits in order to optimise the setup for our needs. I started off by cutting up some long strips of old inner tube. Wrapped around a plastic bottle cage, it created a snug spot to house the tiny Primus fuel bottle. I then added 3 smaller bags to the bike for extra storage. A top tube bag to house the electrical gubbins charging off the dynamo, a handlebar bag for Ocala to keep any items she wanted easy access to, and a saddle bag on the back of her seat to keep spare parts and tools. I soon realised that the red 7-litre Autolib bar bag wasn't large enough to fit my camera with the microphone still attached, so exchanged it for the larger 9-litre bag that, while still very snug, does just about house the camera, a GoPro, 2 lenses, and a bunch of spare batteries. Ocala had the good idea of wrapping sections of the top tube with paracord.
You usually do this way, so this way it kind of doesn't touch it, but when you're taking it out, it might touch it there.
So the paracord protected the paint, and it looked pretty stylish too. I also took the time to shorten the studs on our flat pedals. The stock length was frankly lethal, and we were finding our legs getting scratched up far too often. So I slotted a washer behind all 72 of them to reduce the length and lessen the danger. To protect the leather saddles from the weather, we made these little elastic toggles and repurposed a couple of old backpack rain covers. It's not super pretty, but it does the job. And we used these same style toggles to fasten a small D-lock to the rear rack. And I'm not going to lie, I was pretty satisfied with just how snugly it fit. There's still quite a lot to do, still quite a lot to pack, still quite a few things to sort out. The problem I'm trying to sort at the moment is that the panniers, the front panniers, have a real habit of rattling. So I'm going to try and fix that. I've got a plan, but it requires some inner tube and an Amazon delivery. Yeah. So the issue seems to be that this edge is kind of free to kind of bounce around and do whatever. So I feel like if I wrap this this rack with some inner tube, some kind of rubber, it might just stop it from at least being so annoying. I don't know.
Go ahead. How does it feel?
I mean, it still bounces, doesn't it? Yeah, do you see? So it seemed the inner tube alone wasn't going to eliminate the noise, but that's where the Amazon package came in. After playing around with the bungees, I realised I needed some way to loop it from the pannier to the pannier rack to stop the bag from wobbling. Discovering that this bracket was removable and reversible gave me a good idea. It was like this.
Yeah.
But the bungee could easily kind of slip out. Whereas if we flip it and have the bungee pull down here, that could work better, couldn't it? So this is basically what I came up with. So yeah, I flipped this little bracket here and then just added a bungee. And I've just zip tied it so it's not going to fall out. And then you take this bungee and you wrap it around the back. And then now, instead of kind of moving around, it's like actually quite solid. That's certainly much better than it was, isn't it? It's still not perfect. They still do kind of creak a little bit. It'd be nice to be able to sort of eliminate that sort of completely. Because that's kind of the nice thing about riding a bike, isn't it? It's like you're out there, no engine, you can kind of hear your surroundings. But if all you're hearing when you're touring is just like creakety creak, bashity bash, kind of defeats the object, doesn't it? So it'd be nice to get rid of that sound totally. And I think what the noise is the plastic of the panniers kind of rubbing against the rubber, the sort of inner tube that I've installed around the frame. So I feel like if I put a slightly different material, it might work. In the end, I also lashed a couple of strips of webbing on top of the inner tube, and this, coupled with the bungee, was the final addition needed to eliminate the noise completely. This is what the final result looked like, and I'm very happy with this fix. If it wasn't already obvious, I really enjoyed making all these additions and alterations. I felt accomplished problem solving these little issues and just generally improving our equipment. We were quickly making the bike our own, and I look forward to finally getting it out on the road. The final addition I planned to make, and the one I was most excited about, was an extension arm for the GoPro so that we could shoot hands-free video while cruising along. I repurposed the selfie stick I used on my helmet while unicycling across the States, and once again broke out the strips of inner tube and lashed the stick onto the bike. For the video side of things, it was important to get the GoPro telescoping out far enough. If the stick was too short, my body would block Ocala's face, which, to be honest, looks pretty egocentric and really not ideal. Having the pole extended all the way fixed the blocking problem, but introduced another one: bounce. Now, with such a long pole, the weight of the camera would oscillate up and down, affecting the stability of the footage. I improved this with a loop of elastic which wrapped around the right handlebar grip. The resulting footage wasn't perfect, but it was good enough for me.
Excuse me. Should we get you a whip?
With the selfie stick GoPro camera system now in place, the challenge now was audio. How do you deliver clean, wind-free audio from two people, even at high speeds, into the GoPro? I first tried just using the onboard mic on the GoPro itself, but this predictably picked up far too much wind noise to the point where the footage just became unbearable to watch.
Yeah, you gotta make compromises somewhere.
So I decided some kind of external mic solution was required. I tried out the Rode Video Micro, which I use on my main camera, and it was better, and it did eliminate much of the wind noise. But because it was attached directly to the pole, it picked up a lot of unwanted vibrations from the road. So I scrapped that idea too, and began playing around with an idea which I thought might actually work.
Hello, this is the left microphone. And this is the right mic. No. This is the right microphone. This is the right microphone. This is the left microphone. And I don't know, see how that sounds. Hopefully there's no interference, but I'm almost positive that there will be.
Using small lavalier microphones seemed to be the sensible solution. Because they could be clipped onto our clothing, directly below our mouths, they would in theory pick up just our voices and reject much of the background noise. After a little experimentation, this is the system I ultimately decided on. We start with the GoPro Hero 7 Black. Into this, I attach a 3.5mm audio adapter. I then attach an extension cable which runs down the bike into an audio splitter, splitting the left channel to Ocala's mic and the right channel for mine. This is how everything looks on the tandem. GoPro mounted on selfie stick, 3-meter extension cable down the length of the bike, into Ocala's handlebar bag. This then splits out into left and right channels, which we plug the lavalier mics. Testing it out, it works surprisingly effectively, even at speed.
I'm in a mood to get home and eat food, so
Okay.
I can push.
That's good motivation then, isn't it?
And before that, I want to have a good exercise.
Okay.
But we'll see.
We'll see. Okay, I'll change the gear soon.
Having a hands-free way of capturing decent video and audio was excellent, and I really looked forward to using this setup on tour. How's the packing going?
It's moving slowly.
Now with just one day before we plan to set off, we shifted our attention to what exactly we were going to take.
This is the best thing. Maybe it's the dumbest thing ever, but I'm not regretting the choice.
Looking at the tandem and all of its bags, it may look like we have ample amounts of storage, but after you factor in camping essentials like sleeping bags, sleeping pads, a stove and a tent, and the fact that there was two of us, we did need to be quite deliberate over what we brought.
I decided to take a top, this t-shirt, cycling shorts, this jumper, socks, a warm jumper, socks, my underwear here. What do I have in there? Socks.
Alright, so we've just loaded up the bike. This isn't quite as heavy as it's going to be, but this could be quite comical because this is the first time we've actually tried to ride the thing with weight. Okay,
Good.
ready?
Yeah,
3, 2, 1, going
one.
right. Oh yeah.
It's all right.
It's okay, isn't it? We're going downhill at the moment, no mind. Wow, okay, yeah, it's a bit more, feels a bit more sensitive in a lot of ways. It's a lot more kind of sluggish. I can feel the weight of it kind of moving around.
I can sense that my legs are having more pressure.
Yes.
But I feel comfortable, you know? You know, even here, see, it's like you feel it,
Yeah,
right?
you feel it up this little hill, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all just a compromise.
Yeah.
If we want to take camping stuff and comfortable camping stuff and a load of camera gear and everything else, then
Yeah.
it's going to be heavy.
It was a good test, and with the tandem almost fully packed, all it needed now was one final waterproof bag to lash onto the back. Luckily, I knew exactly where to find one.
Where is he? There he is. He's a bit unloved at the moment, isn't he?
At one time in my life, this was like the most important thing that I owned. It was like the most important thing in my life, this unicycle, and keeping it working, keeping it running and looking after it and seeing that it didn't get stolen. And now it's just stored away in a porter cabin. Anyway, I'm going to raid it for its rear bag. So here it is, our new tandem in its final, fully loaded touring form. Packed with ample amounts of camping and camera gear, we were more than excited to finally take it on its first adventure. What my World Unicycle Tour taught me was that these kind of trips don't happen unless you make them happen. It sounds obvious, right? But in a lot of ways, it's just too easy to dream about things that you'd like to do or trips that you'd like to go on without actually taking the steps to realise them. We'd been thinking about heading out on another tandem trip for over 5 years now, but it was only in the past few months when we decided, actually, you know what, we will make this a priority, that things have started falling into place. It's kind of cliche, but the hardest part of any project is simply starting it, which is why it's pretty damn thrilling looking at our new bike, knowing that we'd finally set this idea in motion. This was the beginning of a new adventure, and we were extremely eager to see where our beautiful green tandem would take us. There's always a certain amount of apprehension at the start of a new ride. Our plan, if you could really call it that, was pretty loose. Keep the sea on our right. That was it. What we'd see, where we'd sleep, who we'd meet, and the challenges we'd face were all pretty much unknown. And that's both very exciting and slightly daunting.
Happy?
Very happy. Yeah, no, I think it's a good setup. I think it's not too light. There's obviously stuff that you want to carry that I wouldn't originally sort of want to carry, but it's the compromise, isn't it? More like hygiene stuff, isn't it?
Yes.
Really, which I kind of would miss out. We spent the last few weeks kitting out our new tandem, and now all that was left to do was say goodbye to my parents and hit the road. What challenges do you see us facing on this trip?
Well, you got to follow the advice that the Thorn cycle said and communicate, haven't you? Yeah. So if one of you wants to stop, you stop, or if one of you's had enough, or whatever. So and communicate changing gears in a more practical sense. What were you going to say? Hills.
That's going to be the biggest challenge.
Especially in Devon, North Devon and Cornwall. There are some pretty steep hills.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Right, Odley.
Yeah, thank you. And
So
see
we'll
you
go this
soon.
way then. Yeah. Oh, well. Doesn't matter, does it? Yeah, you'll go on if it dictates where you're going to be. Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Whoop, back. Oh.
Good.
There we go. Bit wobbly.
Yeah.
Bit wobbly with all this stuff. All right.
It's okay, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it feels fine. Well, once I've got it under control, it's
Yeah.
a little bit more difficult to get under control. Great stuff. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited about this.
Yeah,
We'll
me too.
actually see some of the UK.
So here's the rough plan. Pedal down to Minehead, then keeping the sea on our right, cycle right the way around the southwest coast to Poole, and complete the 600-mile loop by riding home. With this being our first tour together longer than just a few days, it was difficult to estimate just how long it would take us to complete. But my guess was around 3 to 4 weeks. But honestly it didn't matter, as it was just nice to finally be out travelling together on our funky new bike. I really don't think I'd do that well being the stoker on the back of a tandem. It takes a serious amount of trust to let go of all control and allow the pilot to make all the handling and braking decisions. Considering that this was the first time we'd ridden this heavily laden, and I was still a bit twitchy with the controls, Cullah was doing incredibly well trusting me, and trusting that I wasn't about to send us both plunging headfirst into the river.
Are we feeling confident? I think we're feeling confident.
I don't know, my seat is quite high.
It's fine, just lean down, lean down.
Wait, I'm scared.
You're right, lean down, lean down.
Right.
Lean down, keep your head down.
Okay.
Right, well done.
Before long, we'd passed through Taunton and had to trade the flatness of the riverbank for slightly more hilly terrain.
Okay. Oh, he's fast.
Yeah, he's got my stuff. Sweaty hands.
Show me your hands again. Gosh, Ed.
I'm working hard, mate.
Why am I not sweating like that? I'm working hard too.
You tell me.
But of course, every climb brings with it a descent.
That's the sea.
Ah, that's the sea.
It means that we're gonna go downhill.
You're going to be seeing a lot of that over the next few weeks.
Before we knew it, we'd arrived in Minehead and were on the lookout for the official Southwest Coast sign.
Aha.
So the Southwest Coast Path is a walking trail which follows the Southwest Coast all the way down through Somerset, Devon and Cornwall. We're not planning to go on the actual path, but we're going to try and stick to the Southwest Coast and follow the same route as close as we can on roads. So whatever the nearest road is, we'll try and take it. That's the plan. That's why we've come down to the start in Minehead, and we'll finish in 3 or 4 weeks in Poole.
Good.
That's the plan. As light was fading and we still had no idea where we were going to sleep that night, we picked up some chips from the local chip shop, then headed uphill out of town.
3, 2, 1, scooter and go. So, leaving Minehead now. I think we've got a bit of a hill to climb. Don't want to do more than about
3, 4 miles.
3 or 4 miles, something like that.
Yeah. It's
But
4
we need
miles.
to find somewhere to camp. We just need to get away from this
my-
town
yeah.
a little bit. And if we spot somewhere that looks like a decent place to camp, then we'll just do it.
Over there, on the left, there was a path which goes down.
Stopping.
Just over there.
Doesn't really matter, but it'd be nice if no one saw us, really. Sure. Sure.
Good. Look at this spot. Oh, well done, Ocala.
Perfect. Well done. Really good job.
By the looks of all the poo on the ground, it seems like this is a place where they graze sheep. But there's no sheep in here at the moment. And I think, yeah, we'll just pitch up down there.
I know it's funny, but I think it's very useful thing that I got on our tour. This is my pillow.
We'd travelled 45 miles today, and considering this was our first time riding fully loaded, I'd say we did remarkably well. But it did totally shatter us, and now all we wanted to do was cook some pasta and head to bed. Unfortunately, our stove had other ideas.
Oh, that's not good.
I've had this Primus multi-fuel stove for over 6 years now, and in that time it's been extremely reliable, making thousands of meals. But for whatever reason, that night it just decided to play up. It's done this in the past, but the solution has usually been just to simply clean out the little fuel spraying nozzle unit and put it back together, and it seems to work. But this fix, unfortunately, wasn't working tonight.
No, it's not. Shit.
It was now properly dark and getting kind of chilly. We wanted food, but the stove still wasn't spraying fuel properly.
Nothing's coming out of there.
In the end, it just started working again. Who knows why, but I certainly wasn't complaining. I quickly set some pasta cooking and crossed my fingers it would stay functioning for the rest of the trip.
So slightly burnt macaroni and onions and carrots,
Mushy peas and onion rings and chips from the chip shop.
and ketchup.
Yes.
It was a chilly night, but we woke up re-energised and motivated to continue pedalling.
Yeah, woke up with frost everywhere, but the sun's out now. We've almost packed everything away, and we'll carry on along the coast.
That morning, we rode through the old town of Porlock, heading towards the privately owned Porlock Weir toll road. For the price of a couple of pounds, we reckoned it would be a nice quiet alternative to the busy A39. Unfortunately, it seemed the owners of this road had different ideas.
So we just made it to the weir, and apparently we can't use this toll road because they're closing it to walkers and bicycles and horses. Didn't know that. That's the hinge, isn't it? Why is it being done? Aha, got it. Hey, Doc. You alright? Hi there.
Hello.
Is it possible to go through with a bicycle? Or the sign says you're closed to bikes.
If you shove £1 in the door, you can go up.
Great.
Usually they don't like it, but
it's fine, is it? Yeah. Okay,
fine.
grand.
All right.
Okay, I'll put £1 through.
All
Thank you
right.
very much. Is this your dog?
He is, yeah.
He's very cute. Okay, thank you very much.
The first section of this 2-mile road was surprisingly steep, so we resorted to stepping off and pushing. By this point, we'd developed a system where I would control the bike from the front, and Ocala would provide power from the back.
Left turn and then
And then back to the main road.
we're quite close.
We're getting there. Yeah. I guess we've got another mile and a half or so.
Okay.
Eventually, the gradient levelled off, and we got back to riding again. But this hill would only be a small taster of what was to come. We were fast approaching Devon, and with it, some very bumpy coastline.
Really. Woohoo! Whoa! Ah!
Any cars back?
Yes, there is a car coming. Good, it's coming. It's gonna overtake. And overtake. Good? How was it?
That was insane. Gosh, that was a major descent. Makes me realise just how important it is to keep the brakes maintained, because if the brakes fail down that hill, we will be absolutely buggered.
After an exhilarating descent, we arrived in Lynmouth, famous for its beaches, water-powered funicular railway, and pasty shops.
There's like legit curry inside of the pasty. Yeah, it's like a curry pie.
Curry pie.
It's a curry pie.
Try.
That's gonna make a huge bite.
Now, there's a pretty nasty hill out of Lynmouth. At 25%, this grade was one of the steepest we'd faced so far, but after refuelling, we were both feeling pretty optimistic about our chances, so decided to give it a crack. Because really, how hard could it be?
3, 2, 1, let's do it. Oh, frick. Look at that for a switchback.
Oh my god.
Are you alright?
Yeah, careful the cars.
Yeah. It was never going to happen, was it? This is an insane road.
But we were rewarded for our efforts, because just over the hill, and after I'd filled up our water bottles from the basin in a public toilet, we entered a pretty damn stunning section of the Devon coastline, the Valley of Rocks.
How do you rate the Valley of Rocks?
Well, really looks like the States. Comparing to Kyrgyzstan.
Wait, excuse me, the States? this is the United Kingdom, my dear.
Yeah, well,
this isn't the States.
States, but the States are more like dry and less green,
And worse. And worse than the United Kingdom. You don't get this in the States.
You get this in the States. You forget. You get this in the States. And probably not, I don't know, but you get this certainly in Kyrgyzstan.
Okay.
So,
well,
yeah, come to Kyrgyzstan. It really looks like Murrin, to be honest.
So
it looks like Tashrabad,
So what you're saying is that you wish you'd never left Kyrgyzstan?
Yes.
Why did I come to the UK?
I don't understand, just to look at the
Like this? Like, I can see this anywhere. It's the last of the sun, just there.
It's almost 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's gonna get cold from now. You're doing well.
Yeah.
Little powerful stoker on the back.
We need food.
Yeah, we do need food. Let's get the tent up. Let's get some food going.
Oh, so good. Do you have a bunch? Okay, I have to finish.
You have to eat fast. So it's carrot, onion, macaroni, a bit of vegan cheese, and some baked beans. Yeah, it's enough food, isn't it?
Oh wow.
How's the sleep?
Today I actually slept very well and very deep, to be honest. Yeah, but I was sliding down all the time because of the sleeping bags.
We are ready to go. And my nose is running, my hands are chilly. So it's time to start climbing hills, isn't it? And get warm.
Let's go.
Not even a mile into the day, we stopped at the tiny village of Trentishoe. Outside the churchyard, we lay out our dewy tent to dry and set about making breakfast. Fortunately, since the first night, our stove had been functioning perfectly, and we quickly had a pan of porridge cooked up.
Yeah, is the porridge good? It's already done.
It's still going to kind of cook a little bit in the hot water. We'll just leave it for a few minutes. I'll just pack away the tent. It's dry now.
After another frosty night, it was very pleasant just to sit in the sun, eat food, and wake up properly.
How is it?
With the tent dry and our stomachs full, we looked forward to what was to come. With Somerset behind us, we were now entering much more hilly, challenging terrain. But I was confident that if we continued to take things slow and enjoy the process, we'd do absolutely fine. Ocala and I were now 2 days and around 70 miles into our tandem cycle tour around the southwest coast of the UK. We'd reached Combe Martin, and as we headed southwest, the coastline was only getting prettier.
It's incredibly beautiful place. Gosh, I couldn't see the sea from there. And I was sitting there, like looking at the church, and then coming here, and I'm like, oh, we're going down there.
Hello.
Heyo, whereabouts are you?
Still at home.
Okay.
Had a little bit of a mishap with putting my bike rack up my car, but
Oh, dear.
the bike's in the car now.
Excitingly, my sister Sam and her boyfriend Nick were planning to drive out and find us that day.
I suspect we might even be wanting to go past Ilfracombe before we meet.
Yeah.
But we'll give you another call when we get to Ilfracombe because it's still another, I don't know, 10 miles or so.
Yeah.
And a bit hilly. So.
I'll try and call you when we get closer and just see.
All right,
Okay,
cool.
all right.
Look forward to it. See you soon.
See you later.
Have fun.
Bye.
Bye. Oh. Easy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll meet Sam at some point, but it probably won't be for a couple of hours because it
Yeah.
takes about 2 hours to get down here from where they are. Anyway, we've got a hill to ride down, haven't we?
Take it easy. Oh.
Pretty, isn't it? Never been to Combe Martin.
No. It's called Martin.
Yeah.
The beachfront had a very relaxed feel to it, and it was lovely seeing people out enjoying the water.
It's very pleasant. You see like kids like excited about the waves, like, it's coming.
However, the local oldies that patrolled the area seemed kind of rough. So for our own safety, we decided to get out of there.
We got it.
We do got it. We got it.
Up. Last hill.
The climb out of Combe Martin was a killer, but we were rewarded with this view of Ilfracombe from the top.
So I guess this is a section of the southwest coast path. We're not going to be riding that. We're going to be taking the road, which is just over that bank. And just in the distance, you can see Ilfracombe.
Yeah, we're almost there. So if we follow this road, we're gonna get to the, I don't know, to the city center.
Yeah.
It was in Ilfracombe that Sam, Nick and Bella caught up with us.
She'll use this as an opportunity to get nearer you, to then get nearer the chips.
Yeah, well, there's not many of
Yeah,
us.
look, she is.
That's pretty sneaky.
No!
Sam had a bike with her, so after putting the front wheel back on, and after a quick test ride, the three of us hit the road together along the coast.
See you later.
Are you enjoying?
My brakes are still working.
That's good.
Go, I'm going.
We're so slow.
You're just going to level off and it just keeps going.
After a couple of hours of sweaty climbing, we finished the day at a campsite in a place called Damage Barton.
You did really well at those hills.
It was funny when I got here.
I did not look like I was doing a good job.
I was watching your tracker turn up, and like, so you got to, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll be here any minute. And I put my phone away, and then I was like, oh, where are they? Like, okay, no,
Just slowly walking up the hills. But are you looking forward to doing it again tomorrow?
Yeah.
Do a longer day.
This is lovely going down.
add it to the... Very good.
This was the first campsite we'd been to on tour, and Ocala and I were keen to have a shower. Unfortunately, because of COVID restrictions, all the showers were closed. But that wasn't going to stop us trying to at least get somewhat clean.
Yeah, fair enough. Go. Where's the door?
Can people see?
This is like an all-purpose soap, so you can wash your face, you can wash your body, you can wash your clothes with it. So we're going to do all three, I guess. You clean?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm clean. Just about as clean as you can be from a sink.
Keeping
Warming.
us warm on these cold English summer nights.
Oh, lovely.
Very good, very good.
You feeling okay?
A little bit tender from yesterday. Not doing as much cycling as you.
Morning.
Considering that this is England, we'd been so lucky with the weather this trip, and this morning was no different. As we pushed on, it became clear that today, as the road winded just metres away from the sea, we'd be enjoying some killer coastal views.
Fucking hell.
There you go.
In Woolwickham, we all stopped off at the Shepherd's Hut Cafe to grab some breakfast.
All your videos feature me getting excited about food and then stuffing my face.
I can only show what's happening. Yes, please. Thank you very much. How was that?
Lovely. I'm a pig and it was lovely.
Got a bit of toast.
The road out of Woolwickham wasn't quite as enjoyable as the one in.
You're alive! How was that?
That's pretty brutal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks very doable now, doesn't it?
Compared
to
that.
Yeah.
Monstrosity of a route. Right,
Yeah.
let's go.
In other hills.
Come on. Come on, hey.
Hello. Yeah, you doing good?
Good. Oh, you don't want to get that close to the sweaty face. It was alright actually, it's just quite kind of ongoing, but not quite as steep. It was okay. Survived.
We were now entering what would be one of the flattest sections of the entire trip. The 15 miles following the Tarka Trail along the River Tor. As beautiful as it was riding along the undulating coastline, it was nice to get some respite from the climbs and blast along this old, disused railway. I've always loved cycling converted railway lines. Not only is the riding often a breeze, but it's fun to imagine what it would have been like travelling inside the old steam trains that used to frequent these routes.
There we are. Lights up. Very good.
It was in Instow that we came across Ray and Joyce, locals that had recently retrofitted a battery and motor onto their own tandem.
You do have to pedal a bit.
You still got pedal.
You get
And how long will that battery last you? Will it do you the day?
50, 60 miles.
It's not bad.
No. We've got two, yeah, we've got single tandems, single bikes.
Yeah.
But this one you can have a yap to each other.
It's nice, isn't it? Yeah.
Just got to make sure the one on the back ain't cheating.
Nice to see you. Enjoy your holiday.
Have a great day. Cheers.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.
Sadly, Sam and Nick would be leaving us soon, as they needed to begin their drive home. The plan was to part ways in Bideford, but before we could roll over the river and into town, we had one last obstacle to overcome. Stairs. the natural enemy of the 70-kilogram touring tandem.
Step.
Oh,
That's all right.
easy does it.
Slowly.
Easy.
I'm going to sleep well tonight.
Sleep well tonight, yeah.
What's hurting the most?
Nothing's really hurting.
Yeah.
I think it's just because I didn't sleep very much last night.
Uh-huh.
I think I'm just tired now.
Yeah.
And it's been quite hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
let's just see.
I'll make sure we meet.
Yeah, we'll sort something
I
out.
hope it goes as smoothly as this week. Good to see you, mate.
Nice to see you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
We are alone again. Oh dear.
With the sun starting to set, Ocala and I had one thing on our minds. Find somewhere quiet to pitch our tent.
Oh, looks like a perfect patch.
By this point, we'd pretty much got the process of setting up camp down. We'd both help pitch the tent, and then while I was preparing dinner,
2 pot noodles, broccoli and an onion.
Ocala would break out the sleeping bags and lay everything out.
It's maybe not the best security measure in the world, but I've just kind of looped one of the pegs and sort of part of the tent sort of through the front wheel. So it's something. But yeah, who's seriously coming out here to nick a tandem? No opportunists are really going to even know we're here.
We'd been on the road for 4 days now, and it was great that we'd started settling into our new touring routine. The next day began with an interesting roadside find.
About 4 miles on the main road today. It's not the most pleasant, but it's kind of necessary. Anyway, we'll leave it soon. But on the way up this big climb, Ocala just spotted what she think was a passport by the side of the road, so it was a bit tattered. So when we were climbing, I didn't really want to stop because it was a bit unsafe. But I'm going to wander back now and try and find this thing and see if it is indeed a passport, and if it is, then we'll try and do something with it. Anyway, let's have a look. Yeah, we were both kind of focused on climbing, so we decided not to stop, but she says that she saw it around here. It's his, isn't it? That's like the outside of a passport.
The other side. Gosh.
Potentially a bit sinister, isn't it? You got the outside jacket and then the inside kind of ripped off. I'll walk it back up to Ocala and we can have a proper look at it together. Let's go this way. Yeah, you were right. So I thought at first it was just the outside and then I found the inside bit. I haven't looked at it yet.
So this one is United Kingdom.
There was no personal information anywhere inside the passport. The info page was ripped clean out, and there weren't any stamps in the back.
What happened?
We're going to take the passport. We'll take it to Bude police station, which is about 10-15 miles away. We'll just drop it into there, even though there's no ID or anything in it. I feel like it's the right thing to do, isn't it? It's stashed just here. The weird things you find by the side of the road, eh?
Yeah.
Well spotted.
Welcome to Cornwall.
All right, it's about 5 miles to Bude now, and it's pretty much all downhill, which is great. We just passed what's called the GCHQ, which seems to be some kind of military camp with a sort of intelligent satellites kind of parked on the hill. From the small amount of research that I did, it seems to be used for kind of intercepting and potentially interfering communications. Communications between whom? I don't know.
But a bunch of satellites doing something secretive. Okay, let's go. Oh, it's going to be bumpy.
We arrived in Bude with one thing on our minds: find the police station and drop off the passport. Apparently this place hasn't been operating since the 1st of November 2014. I thought it might be a COVID thing, but it's not, is it? We're doing non-emergency. I'll put it off first. Gosh, it's been a while, hasn't it? Hello, I'm calling from the Bude police station, and it seems like it's closed, but they had a phone outside. I just found I was out cycling and I found a passport, but there's some inside pages ripped out, but I just thought I'd just drop it down at the police station, but it seems like no one's here. The chap on the other end of the phone basically just said, look for a postbox and leave it in that.
Oh yeah, that works. Yeah, just bang it in there.
Hopefully this isn't connected to anything too sinister, but if it is, and this passport is brought in as key evidence in some crime investigation, it's good to know that it's covered from top to bottom with our sweaty fingerprints.
Alright, see your passport.
We were now around 150 miles and a quarter of the way into our journey, and so far it had been very enjoyable. The little passport find was a weird one, but it's these kind of side missions that I've always loved about cycle touring. You never totally know what you're going to see, where you're going to end up, or what you're going to find. In this case, quite literally. We left Bude refueled after eating at a local riverside cafe, and we felt optimistic about the road ahead. In front of us was over 200 miles of wiggly Cornish coastline, and we couldn't wait to see what Cornwall had to offer. Hello, and welcome back to our video series riding a tandem bicycle around the southwest coast of the UK. Ocala and I were now on day 5 of our journey. We were a quarter of the way into the route, and our moods were high. We'd recently left Bude, and were currently following a beautiful section of road that completely hugged the coastline. This was brilliant for the views, but not quite so great for our legs, because it brought with it some impressively steep grades.
What is it at?
30%. That's a rare sign right there. At least we're going down it, but oh god.
Can you imagine going up?
Okay, we'll take it very, very slow.
Okay. Oh my god, that's scary. So if there was 30 downhill, now we have to go uphill, and it's 30% uphill again. This is crazy. Maybe we don't have to go uphill. Maybe we can just stay here.
Stay here forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just stay here forever.
Like, are you ready for 30% uphill?
No, that looks very sucky.
Yes.
No, we got this.
Yeah.
We'll just walk very slowly.
This is basically touring the southwest coast summed up in a nutshell. One moment you're blasting down a hill at over 30 miles an hour, and the next you're pushing your heavy load up a ridiculously steep climb, questioning whether taking that extra set of clothes was really a good idea. Before long, we were riding again, and as the sun was beginning to set, we started searching for somewhere to camp. We thought we'd attempt to find a campsite that night, but unfortunately every place that we turned up at told us that because of COVID, their toilet facilities were closed.
That's what we're going to find. I mean, we chose to go on this trip during this time, so these are the problems we have to deal with, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Campsites without facilities. We should be fine if it was like, I don't know, maybe 10 quid, might have said alright, but 16 quid is just, it's a little bit more than I want to pay just for somewhere to pitch the tent, because we're pretty confident we can kind of do that anywhere, really. As long as we're sensible. Yeah. Alright.
We're paddling then.
We're paddling.
As it was really beginning to get dark now, we thought that before resorting to wild camping, we'd try just one last campsite. As this one was part of the caravan club and you needed to be a member to enter, we didn't hold out much hope, but we thought it was worth a shot anyway. Okay, so we just turned up at, what's it called? Trewethet Farm Caravan and Motorhome Campsite, and just asked if they had somewhere for tents. And the chap at the reception, I guess he's the chap that owns it, said that we can just camp here for free, which is very good of him, isn't it?
Kind of relieved, because I was thinking, actually I'm fine to cycle through the night. But I'm also happy just to stay, and it's just gorgeous here. It's just, I can't wait to see it in the morning, to be honest,
Well rested, we packed up and got going quickly the next morning, excited to catch our first ferry of the trip. The one we were taking would carry us from a place called Rock across the river to Padstow. Very happy that this ferry is working, because if it wasn't, we'd be going on another 20-mile detour to go around this river.
Hi.
Are you going fast?
We've done Land's End.
Oh, nice.
hello, very good.
Oh, you just starting? Wow.
Where are you going?
We're heading down to the pool.
Mine
Good on a tandem as well.
It's hilly around here, though, isn't it?
So hilly, oh my god.
Good luck.
With your bike, you're better off to turn it around.
Thank you very much. Where's the best place to park this?
Just here.
Just here, yeah? Superb. Thank you very much. Let's do cash, shall we?
It's a card only.
Card only, okay.
We do have to charge for that.
Yes, sure.
Is it 2 adults in the bike?
2 hours on the bike, that's it. It costs £3 per adult, plus an extra £3 for the bike. A benefit of having just one tandem between us.
Yeah, it's all done.
Super.
Yeah, with this COVID blinking thing,
It's all about it, isn't it?
and our lot, they're so anal about it. Pain in the backside. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, thank you. Easy. This Rock to Padstow ferry, also known as the Black Tor ferry, runs roughly every 20 minutes and takes about 5 minutes to make the crossing. Amazingly, we found out that there's been a ferry operating across this half-a-mile stretch of the River Camel since 1337. We both very much enjoyed the trip. We'd been travelling under our own power for the last 170 miles, so even if it was just half a mile, it was nice to sit back and watch the scenery sail past without having to break a sweat.
Thank you. Is it downhill? Wow.
Yeah, it is.
It's all the way downhill over there.
From Padstow, we pedalled on, pushing in the direction of Newquay. Quite honestly, at this point, Ocala and I were both shattered. We'd been going non-stop for a week, and we both felt like we needed a day off to rest and recover. So we decided that once we arrived in Newquay, we'd take a break. I booked a Airbnb for tonight, so we've got that to look forward to. It's 4 miles away, and about 3 big climbs. But we're getting there, aren't we? It's quite tough. I'm feeling quite fatigued. I don't know how you're feeling, Ocala, but I'm feeling quite tired and in need of a rest. Quite nice down here, isn't it?
Very lovely. I'm staying in one of the houses.
The couple who owned the Airbnb were lovely and kindly gave us a key to their garage so that we could securely store the bike. This one. Yeah, we do look tan, don't we? I'm just looking at the viewfinder there. It's like
Really
helmet line just there.
I have, because I was putting a lot of sun cream when you are, but I still feel hot and...
Yeah, I feel hot. It's very hot in this room, isn't it? My suggestion is we both have showers, so we're not putting any gunk around anywhere.
Yes.
I'm starting to, I mean, I can smell myself. I can smell my socks. Outside you don't really smell it, but inside you come in and you go, oh yeah, actually yeah. I'm a bit stinky, aren't I?
I'm not stinky.
You're actually not. How do you do that? It's magic. It had been a pretty full-on week, so that evening we did little more than shower, cook, inhale some dinner, and head off to a well-earned sleep. Good morning. How did you sleep, Charlotte?
Oh, I slept okay.
Yeah. I don't think either of us slept particularly well. I slept very poorly, actually. I think, I don't know, we think maybe it was heat stroke from the last few days, and dehydration, definitely.
Definitely dehydration, yeah.
We've both taken paracetamol and drunk a load of water, and we're about to eat food, which should help, hopefully. I've just been ingesting a load of data from various cameras. I think it's going to be about 600 gigabytes all in, so we're just slowly getting through all that to make sure it's all backed up and I don't lose anything. And Mashallah, you made some breakfast, didn't you? It looks amazing. We spent the morning doing all the little jobs that need to be done on a cycle tour rest day. Washing and drying clothes, charging electronics, and stocking up on more food for the road. It was a chilled day in Yuki, and we mainly spent it sitting on the beach and eating. Wow, there we are. I'm very excited about these. They feel big and they're warm. Coke as well. We need the sugar. We can justify it, can't we? How is it?
It's very good.
Wow. Then walking on the beach and eating some more. Ridiculous place for a house, isn't it?
It's just crazy.
Yes, I think I'll build it just there. Oh, and yeah, I have to build a bridge as well, because otherwise I can't get to it. I guess you build the bridge first, don't you?
And
then you build the house. Madness. It was just what we needed to recover from the exhaustion and dehydration we'd both been feeling. And we ended the day recharged and ready to continue our battle with the relentlessly hilly Cornish coastline. Hey, good. We're only on this road for like 8 miles or so, but it's the busiest one we've been on the whole trip. And we just thought, keeps us a bit safer, doesn't it? Keeps us a bit more seen. Unfortunately, there isn't really many alternatives out of Newquay, so we're just going to blast on the main road for 8 miles and then we can get off it onto the more scenic lanes.
On her clothes, what a show. How's it going? How are you? I'm fine, good, I know. And my bicycle is clean, sun is shining, and I'm leaning against a garage door. 30 minutes left, 20 minutes to your place, buying guns at the store. Slops on there, open road, it's a calling wide across the sunny town, and I am about to explode. I'm looking with no need for a crown, 'cause I know that you grow towards the sun, that you shout and dance with me. Boys and bees will have their fun. Stand on me.
The guy that I bought these from, he was like,
Here you go, have your ice creams, but watch out for the seagulls, they will not hold back. And if you look at the sides of all the buildings here on the front, they're all just covered in poop.
Texting isn't there, at least I have to bear your crookedness in mind. I exercise, I work out, I'm endlessly fit to keep pace with you. With a line is like you know I won't lose it. And slopes aren't there, open road, it's a cutting wide across the sunny town. I am about to explode. I'm a king with no need for a crown, 'cause I know that you go towards the sun, that you shout and dance with me. Birds and bees will have their fun. Oh, it's how you hang with me, and it's how you're going strong. Every season from the start, yeah, you knew it all along. You have to follow your heart.
Oof. Wind and hills are not the best combination.
No, we're right into the headwind, aren't we?
After a productive couple of days on the bike, riding around the most southwesterly point of England, we arrived at St Michael's Mount. This tidal island, connected to the mainland via a man-made granite causeway, is only accessible on foot during low tide, and sports an imposing castle that dates back to the 14th century.
Yeah, it'd be fun to walk across that, wouldn't it?
Would be, yeah.
The tide is going out, but it's going to be out like fully low tide in about 3 hours. It'll be dark by then, and we need to find somewhere to camp, don't we?
Yeah,
But
or we can just stay and wait and cross and then just camp on the land.
don't know if they like people doing that.
We'll be like, well, we'll know where to go.
Yeah, exactly, they can't kick us off at that point, can they?
Yes.
They'll throw us on a boat and throw us back out. This road is downhill, but we're working hard to go down it.
Yes. This is impossible.
Up until now, we'd done pretty well choosing the roads which most closely followed the coast, but it was at this point in the trip that we decided to cut inland and head directly towards Falmouth. The reason for this will become clear in the next episode, but for now, please enjoy these tent-pitching time-lapses as the sun dips below the horizon on the 9th day of our tandem cycling adventure. Up until now on our southwest coast cycle ride, we'd done pretty well sticking to the roads which most closely followed the coast. But it was at this point in the trip that we decided for the first time to cut inland. The reason for this was that with the weekend coming up, we wanted to reach a small village just outside of Falmouth to meet up with some old friends.
So we're not going all that far today. I think it will be about 20 miles by the time we stop, because we're meeting up with a couple called Paddy and Annie, who I met in 2016 on the World Unicycle Tour in Kyrgyzstan, of all places.
Yeah.
And the exciting thing about them is that they were riding a tandem.
At the end of 2015, Annie and Paddy quit their jobs and left their lives in London to fly out to Vietnam. They then spent the next year and a half riding west, wiggling their way back home. Theirs seemed like a truly epic trip, exploring Asia and Europe, camping in some incredible places, and sharing their unusual bike with the people they met. It was really fun that by chance we came across each other on the road from Bishkek to Balchi and got to share a few miles together.
I actually don't think that I shot much video. We camped together a couple of nights, rode a couple of days together. It was on my way from Bishkek to Karakol, and I don't think I shot much video, but there are some photos, so I'll try and dig them out now and put them on a screen. But they live
just outside of Falmouth, and they've invited us to stay with them. So it should be quite good fun, really. At the time, I wasn't really paying much attention to what they were riding. It was just like, oh, it's a tandem. But now, obviously, we have a bit more interest, don't we?
Sure. Yeah, we're going this way.
Once we arrived at their place, I was keen to see if they still had their touring tandem. They did, but it was currently a bit dismantled in their garden shed.
Where did you find all the stickers?
Oh, that's what Ed asked. Yeah, Annie bought them all beforehand. We had a good idea of countries we'd go to or we might go to.
Yeah, thank you.
So we got them all. And then some of the other stickers, like these other stickers, we also got before, and we had a party before we left, and we just said to our friends, like,
yeah, thank you.
put them all on, dump them on. Yeah. But yeah, so it's Orbit tandems.
Yeah, it's the one.
JD tandems. Up
Yes.
north.
As Ocala and I now had an appreciation of what it was like to travel in this way, it was nice to hear about their experience of tandem touring.
How have you done your starting? Do you? Because I think other people do it where they just start together.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think
that's
there's
what we
more
do.
variables going on there because you've both got to get.
So
go
what
and
we
adjust.
do is usually Ed gets his foot first.
I get on first because
Yeah.
I find it easier to
Yeah, definitely.
because this top tube is
You just
very
lean.
close to my height.
And you kind of like.
So I kind of lean the bike, get on, and then you get
And
on.
then I usually, while Ed is doing it, I say pedal up. So
I widen my legs so
Yeah.
the pedals don't hit my
And
shins.
you've got the brake on, so everything is solid.
Yeah, that's
right?
it. And then Ocala does the pedals because
Pedal up.
I started doing the pedals initially, and I ended up just hitting you in the shin all the time because I couldn't see where.
Yeah, exactly. I do that. Like
That's
you're side
it, yeah.
wide,
Yeah.
like, and you're over the bike,
That's
and
it.
you're sort of bracing the frame with between your legs.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
So that time I do pedal up.
Wow, the shed's the place to be.
Yeah. We're discussing
how we
tandem
were
tandem
how
riding.
we're starting.
Yeah.
And then
So you just sit on the pedals.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
on.
you just set on. Yeah.
And then because I'm ready then to start turning the
Oh,
wheels.
funky, yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
in balance.
And I'm in balance, yeah.
I guess we'll try. I guess you do that when we're stopping. You tend to just keep your feet up, and I put my feet down first.
Yeah.
But no, generally we both we stand on the ground, and then we go 3, 2, 1, and we both just push
Just
off.
start, yeah.
Are you ready? 3, 2, 1.
I'm not a speed freak, but like they go downhill. Like there was I think we might have got 70 kilometers an hour
Crazy.
down a hill in
Yeah.
China. Because they go downhill or
Yeah.
anything on the flat, the tandem will just like if you're cycling with a single bike, you just sort of slowly leave them behind because you just go with momentum.
Yeah, there you go.
But I was just so conscious of like it's going to take me 50 yards
If
to stop.
someone just pulls out or something, yeah.
Taking your hands off the handlebars. The tandem will not go like straight.
No.
And I did it.
You did it.
Quite early on, close to it my own bike, Annie that was a no. Annie was not happy because the bike went whoop and I went, shit. Like had to catch it pretty quick.
Yeah, I find that
And,
even if I take one hand off and I'm trying to do something else, like trying to mess with a camera or mess with something, it
needs both
it's
hands.
quite needy.
It's heavy. Yeah. And when it goes, it goes. It's a heavy beast. We crashed it twice, I think.
Yeah, we ploughed it into a bank.
Yeah,
Well, it wasn't.
too.
It was very slow speed. It was climbing up a hill, and I think I was trying to mess around with something with one hand, and it just pulled
went,
into the bank and just stopped.
And I was angry. I'm sorry about it. But I kind of felt like that you did it deliberately because why? I don't know.
That's
sounds quite familiar.
The thing is, you get matching cuts. That we got matching cuts when we crashed. We were in sand and we went all, and it was just me going too fast downhill.
Yeah.
And we were going quite speedily, and we both crashed, and we both ended up splashed on the road with matching big cuts there.
Oh, God.
2 guys in a moped coming behind us and didn't stop to say roll. They just laughed. That's nice.
It was really lovely seeing them again, and that evening, Ocala decided to cook and teach them how to make kashani, traditional Central Asian dumplings.
Something like this, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. And you hold it like this, and you take it one bit, and you stick it to another one, and you take this bit, and you stick it to the other one.
On the outside?
Yes.
Stick it to the outside,
and then you just
right.
stick it, and you stick it, and you stick it, and you just go. And the end bit, you kind of push it with your thumb, like this.
Mm-hmm.
And you just, continue.
Well, you're right-handed, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because the difficult bit's going to be the
Oh right, I see what you mean.
pinchy.
And then you take it both.
Yeah.
And you push it sort of like outside to the other side. Yeah.
And then you kind of push it. Yeah.
You push it like this, and then you still keep this side.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Have you seen a pasty? Have you seen a Cornish pasty?
Yes, actually.
They're like mini. They're
Mini
like a bigger
pasties,
version. Yeah.
All right then.
Right, I'm in.
Concentration of a maths teacher.
I'm definitely boring a hole into this dumpling.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
And
You just stick it together. Yeah.
You found your calling, Paddy?
Yeah. Look, perfect.
You'd be a dumpling maker.
Dumpling maker.
Yeah. They look good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
They do look good.
Yeah, we need a bit of a line. We need a production line, I think.
Yeah.
We've been dealing with some pretty heavy winds over the last week, but the next day was just ridiculous. We spent the morning attempting not to lose our freshly washed clothes, playing with their cute ginger cat, and tuning up the brakes on our bike.
Cool.
Brake cables can stretch over time, especially when they're new, and especially ones as long as ours, so it was reassuring to get them tightened up, ready for the many steep descents ahead of us.
Yeah, that feels much better actually.
Later on in the day, Annie and Paddy took us out on a walk through a forest to an Iron Age Cornish fogu.
Oh, annoying.
It's closed off, is it?
Yeah.
Is that because of COVID?
I don't know, it looks really cool though.
The exact purpose of these man-made caves is unknown, but it's thought that they were probably used as shelters, storage chambers, or ritual shrines.
0000. 2000. Let's got another. We could be here for a while.
Yeah, I'm giving up my.
Do you think it's amazing though that it's been here for like 2,500 years old?
This is much more impressive than the other one.
Yeah, it is.
It was lovely taking the time off the bike to catch up with them. The tales they had from their travels were inspiring, and we left the next morning motivated to keep riding and continue creating tandem touring stories of our own. With 300 miles behind us, we were now roughly halfway into our trip and fast approaching Falmouth. Once we arrived in town, we headed for the ferry port, because today's plan was to head across the estuary to St Maurs.
So that's what I would suggest. Cross the St Maurs, cross the place, cycle out to St Anthony the Head, and then just back Port Scatho and on.
Easy peasy. Okay, yeah, we'll do that then. Yeah, 2 adults for that then, please. We were planning just to take a ferry to St Maurs, but the chap at the ticket booth was like, hey, you know what, you're better off going to a place called Place here, and then we can cycle around, see a lighthouse down here, and then work our way up through these much quieter roads.
But before we could enter the ferry, we first had to contend with these steps. The natural enemy of the tandem had returned, and with a vengeance, in the form of this extremely steep, treacherously slippery variety.
It's a good front one. I'll put you back in there.
Yeah.
We'll go down there, just a little bit easier.
Thank you very much.
That's all right.
Please keep your face mask up at all times, and if you'd like to clean your hands, there's hand gel down below. Thank you very much for listening. We hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Cheers.
Have a nice cycle.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you.
From St Maurs, we hopped on a second ferry to a place called Place. This boat was considerably smaller than the first, and when I say smaller, I mean absolutely tiny. Tandem bikes are downright unwieldy at the best of times, but this became particularly apparent after hitching them on and off ferries down here in Cornwall. Thankfully, all the people we'd come across so far operating these crossings had been very helpful, and our bike had made it through totally unscathed.
Super, have a great day.
After arriving in place, it soon became apparent that the slipway wasn't really designed for bikes, let alone tandems.
Oh, can you walk up there?
After many journeys back and forth shifting stuff and navigating slipways and stiles,
Hey, there we are.
we could finally get moving again. So we headed south, down the Roseland Peninsula, in search of St Anthony Lighthouse. Located at the entrance of the harbour, it was built in 1835 to guide ships away from the hazardous rocks which line this particular section of coastline. It was a pretty little structure, and we parked ourselves just above it on the hill to break out some food and refuel for the road ahead.
Yeah, a lot of faffing around on ferries today, wasn't it? But it's nice to be here. But it's already 3 o'clock, so I suspect that we're not really gonna.
We're done 5 miles.
We've done about 5 miles of cycling today. That was from
Falmouth.
Yeah, that was just into Falmouth, wasn't it?
From Constantine to Falmouth, yeah.
And that was all downhill. So we're going to work our way north now, carrying along around the coast. But yeah, I dare say we're not really going to do many more miles today. We'll probably do a little bit, and then it'll start getting dark, and then we'll find somewhere to camp. But yeah, it's just a lot of faffing, waiting for boats, and getting that tandem onto that little boat. Mate, it stresses me out. It stresses me out. I don't want to. It's still a baby. It's still new, and I don't want to scratch it. And it's just like getting up and down steps and taking bags off, and just. Ooh.
It's a lot of stress.
Makes me realise how easy it was to kind of do that kind of stuff with the unicycle, because it was quite a compact unit, and I could sort of put it under one arm and just kind of take it anywhere with the bags still attached. But with the tandem, it's a bit more of a mission to get it places.
Yeah, it's like a big limousine.
Yeah, it is.
We made good progress that afternoon, covering a further 20 miles. Whizzing past the old decaying Cornish tin mines, we arrived in a forest just outside of a golf course, which looked like it had promising wild camping potential.
Yeah.
There's a woodpecker up that tree, can you hear him? He's like occasionally just going at it. Yeah, no, it's quite nice to wake up to all the birds chirping and whatever else. Now we've got a bit of a job to get everything down, get the bags back to the path, and then get on. We're right next to a golf course as well, so I guess when golfers hit their balls into the rough, that's where we are. Even though we're like we're pretty much in the middle of St Austell. There just doesn't seem to be many people here. We thought there might be a bunch of dog walkers in the morning, but so far, none.
Good.
We'd now reached what would be our final day in Cornwall. With only 40 miles left until Plymouth, we were confident that we'd cover this distance and cross into Devon early the next morning. However, that didn't mean we were just going to put our heads down and pedal all day, because there were still some interesting places on this part of the coast that we were keen to explore.
Hi.
We arrived in the small town of Fowey and caught the ferry across the river to Bowdinnock. Compared to the passenger ferry we were on previously, car ferries are definitely the way to go if you're bike touring. There's no faffing around with taking off panniers and carrying the bike down steep, slippery steps. Just push it on, across the water, push it off, job done.
It's quite slippery there, isn't it? Very good.
From here, we had our sights set on Polperro, a beautiful little fishing village with some curious history. Down by the sea, there was a location here that I shot and had been very excited about seeing for the past week, so we parked up the bike and went to check it out.
So we just spotted this place on the map called a Willie Wilcox Cave. It's quite deep, isn't it?
Willie Wilcox, what a brilliant name, was apparently a goods smuggler from the 18th century who lived in a cottage above this cave. He'd supposedly built a passageway from his home into the cave through which he could smuggle his contraband and hide it from the customs officers. How deep does it go?
Wow. Yeah.
Going. It just keeps going, doesn't it? Oh. The legend goes that one day, while hiding from the authorities down in his cave, the tide came in and he drowned, leaving his ghost to haunt it forevermore. I think that's the end, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, that was worth seeing, wasn't it?
Wow. Yeah. Oh, wow.
We didn't discover the ghost of Old Willie or his passageway, but it was a fun story to explore, and we left Polperro happy that we'd taken the time to stop there and learn about this 300-year-old pirate. And with that, our time in Cornwall had come to a close. The end point of our journey in Poole was now less than 200 miles away, and with our shadows beginning to lengthen, we pushed onwards, towards Devon, ready to tackle our final week riding around the southwest coast on a tandem bicycle. Ocala and I were now currently 2 weeks and just under 400 miles into our self-supported tandem tour around the southwest coast of England. We'd just arrived in Tor Point and were about to catch the ferry to Plymouth across the River Tamar. Alright, we're almost in Plymouth. We're down at Tor Point, and from Tor Point there's a ferry across the water, I think into the actual Plymouth town.
Where did you come through?
We just came down the road.
Yeah. Basically, you meant to queue up because of COVID. We're meant to count you on. All right, but just wait here for a minute.
Yeah, no worries.
All right,
Yeah,
once I can get you over, I'll get you over.
Thank you very much. We've been incredibly lucky with the weather on this trip. We hadn't had a single drop of rain over the last 2 weeks, which is pretty unbelievable if you consider that this is the UK. But of course, this dry streak couldn't last for our entire tour, and just as we arrived in Plymouth, the weather turned and it started to drizzle. We pushed into town, then hid from the rain and ate breakfast under a small pavilion overlooking the 72-foot Smeaton's Tower Lighthouse and Plymouth Sound Inlet. Very good.
Yeah.
Well done.
Oh, yeah.
It was here that we met Jim and his collie dog out on their morning walk. Do you ride? Do you cycle?
I used to years ago, but once I learned how to drive vehicles.
That took over, yeah.
And that's the ideal way of putting weight on, you see. Yeah. So how long it take you to get the pool then? 2 days?
No, we're kind of sticking along the kind of back roads right along the coast. So I suspect it will be 3 or 4, 5 maybe, something like that. Yeah, we're taking it easy.
It's alright if you've got the magic pill. If you ain't got that, it's going to take you longer, isn't it?
What's the magic pill?
Oh, that's the one I'm waiting for.
With the rain cleared up, we jumped back on the road, onwards along the coast. Faster! Faster!
Look what Ed's doing.
Come on, is that what you got?
So, what is this, huh? What is this?
Oh, check out that stream. The fuel stove that we cook on runs on bog standard petrol. I'd noticed the night before that the fuel bottle was running low, so we stopped up at a petrol station to refuel.
You got it already?
No, I just asked. And they said, yeah, fine. So that works then, doesn't it?
How much you pay?
It'll be like 50p. It'll be less than that. It'll be like 40p's worth.
What was it for?
It's for a stove. It runs on petrol.
Oh, right, okay.
But it can be a bit of a challenge sometimes because a lot of places have like a minimum spend. It's like, I don't want to spend £5 on petrol just to fill up that little bottle. Thank you very much.
Oh, right, yeah.
Have a nice day. Easy peasy.
Right.
Result, we can cook our meal tonight. Yeah. And probably for the rest of the trip actually, that should do us. Do you remember that passport we found by the side of the road a few episodes back? Well, we were about to stumble across something even more peculiar and much, much more amusing.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's episode of What We Spotted by the Side of the Road. I've brought protection for this one because I don't really want to touch it. Da-dum! Dun 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 dun! Ta-da! Da 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 da!
Oh no!
What do you reckon?
Oh god!
It could be our little mascot. You know, I had Clarence the dinosaur on my unicycle.
Oh yeah, we can just keep the dildo.
We can have
No.
we can have Dave the dildo on our tandem.
Dave the dildo.
Needless to say, unlike the passport, we didn't plan on taking this roadside find to the local police station.
Wow, well spotted, Ed.
Well, I know. I've my eyes are peeled for for sex toys on the side of the road.
We were now fast approaching a section of road we've both been very excited about riding ever since we started planning this trip. Slapton Sands is a pretty unique feature on the UK's coastline. Stretching for about 3 miles, this beach divides the saltwater sea to the east from the freshwater lake of Slapton Ley to the west. We learned that it had played a pretty significant role during the Second World War, because due to its similarity to the beaches in Normandy, Slapton Sands had been used as a practice ground to rehearse the D-Day landings. Due to the exposed nature of this road, the winds were very strong, and even though you couldn't ask for a flatter section, the riding here was very tough going.
Oh, it's cold.
It is. This is our first day of rain on the trip so far. We've been going for 2 weeks.
And it's not only rain, and it's also hailing.
We had a little bit of hail earlier, didn't we?
Today, we thought, oh no, the tent is wet, and everything is going to be wet. And then I was like, well, you know,
Yeah.
it's fine. Yeah, so we'll see how it gets the following day. So
Nah, it is fine, isn't it, really?
yeah.
Can't really complain.
But honestly, today's been absolutely fine. I wouldn't even say that it was rain. It was just like little drops.
After working hard spinning up the hill on the north side of Slapton, we started to consider where on earth we were going to sleep that night. It was already 6 o'clock, and with much of the land around here looking very privately owned, we knew wild camping was going to be a challenge. So without much of a plan, we just kept riding into the evening, until we reached a point where we simply couldn't ride anymore. Dartmouth is a quaint seaside town located at the mouth of the River Dart. We'd planned to take the ferry across the river to Kingswear, but as we'd arrived so late, ferry crossings had ended for the day. The only possible way around tonight would be to ride a 20-mile detour right around the River Dart. We weren't about to do that, so we started considering staying somewhere in town.
Hello?
Hi Kim, it's Ed here again. I just got about the room. After a bit of searching, we found a place on booking.com, and the owner kindly offered us use of her shop downstairs to store our long tandem. You know, this shop's being refurbished, and Kim said that I could just put it here, so that's what we're going to do. And I guess we're going to spend 2 nights in Dartmouth.
Oh, it's a mess, is it?
We made an explosion. So, Cullah, stuff.
We'll deal with that tomorrow. It's very late, it's 10 o'clock, and we'd like to eat some food. And I'm tired, and we'll deal with everything tomorrow morning.
With a place to stay sorted, our attention now shifted to food. We'd ridden 45 hilly miles today, and we were both absolutely starving.
21st century, sometimes you have to go out and hunt for food.
Yeah, I saw a Chinese place, which we're hoping is still open. We looked it up, it said it was like open until 11.
It's there. It's just there.
I Cullah knows. Zhang's restaurant.
Oh, no.
It's closed. Yeah, look. 10 p.m.
Just 5 minutes late.
Oh no, to random. It's Wednesday. It was.
Okay.
It was
To
5 p.m. to random. Oh well, we were late.
Okay. To random.
We were past random. There's not even
there's no one around to even ask. It is actually dead. Hi there. Excuse me. Do you live around here?
No, I'm on holiday.
Are you?
Yeah.
Or even so, do you know if there's anywhere open? Like, for takeaways or anything? Do you have any inside info?
Oh, this is shut now.
Yeah, well, that's what we're finding.
It's like 10 o'clock.
There's an Indian over the back there. They might be open late.
Okay, they might be, mightn't they?
Yeah.
That's a good shout.
Yeah.
Armed with valuable new information from a late-night dog walker, we excitedly hurried off towards the curry house. The prospect of masala and naan bread making our mouths water. But we really shouldn't have got our hopes up, because just like the Chinese, it was also closed.
Well, that's not happening.
You know you're in trouble when not even the Taj Mahal is open. So we headed back to our room to regroup and devise a new plan of action.
Alright, we are prepared. Church.
That moment.
Bon appetit.
Oh, thank
It's very hot. Watch it.
Oh, it smells incredible. Very delicious, yeah.
Our day off in Dartmouth started with a bit of admin. Namely, hanging up our damp tent in the shower and washing our sweaty clothes in the sink.
Oh yeah, hey bloody.
Later in the morning, we wandered down to the mouth of the river to check out Dartmouth Castle. Built in the 1300s, its main purpose was to defend the harbour from French raids during the 100 Years' War. This, coupled with other fortifications along the bank, helped keep Dartmouth and the rest of the towns upriver protected. Down by the castle, there were also some caves to explore, but of course none as impressive as Willie Wilcox's, so we walked back into town to have lunch.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh, yeah.
It was a relaxing day off the bike, and after grabbing a little food from the co-op for the road ahead, we ended the day heading back to the Taj Mahal, this time at a much more reasonable hour.
Curry, 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 curry.
I'm so excited.
We're using this as fuel for cycling. Gonna head up towards Exeter tomorrow. Excited?
Very much, but I'm more excited about food here.
Me too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Back in the shop to collect the bicycle. Heyo. Doing alright? Ready to ride? Oh yes, Ed, I think I'm ready to ride. I've been in this little store cupboard for a day and I want to get on the road. Okay then, let's do it.
Back at it, we caught the car ferry across the River Dart to Kingswear. We were now just 130 miles from Poole and the end point to our southwest coast cycle. Recharged from the rest day, we pushed onwards, our sights set in the direction of Exmouth. The fact that we were close to completing our mission was a huge motivator keeping us pedalling. But that didn't negate the fact that we'd still been on the road for over 2 weeks now, and we were both simply feeling tired. Soon after climbing out of Torquay, Ishola's energy levels absolutely plummeted, and she needed to take a break.
How are you feeling?
So sleepy. I need like 15-minute nap.
I couldn't have asked for a more enthusiastic stoker on this trip. Heaving this heavy tandem over the long climbs and pedalling for 5 hours a day is physically exhausting, but you're done so well. Are you alright to get down to a little?
Yeah. No, maybe, yeah.
And we might be able to find like a bus stop or something that you can just chill in. Because I'm just concerned it's going to rain. I mean, there's already, you can see the rain on the hill over there.
It's coming, is it?
It's coming, yeah. We just need to get across that bridge down there.
Okay.
And then there's a little literally on the main road the way that we're going.
Okay. Yeah. What you got in here?
I will show you. Last time we've been a good Christmas. You want it?
Oh yeah.
Got a load of bourbons.
Aha.
Got those peanuts, bananas, we'll try it.
Oh, perfect.
Chocolate and
tangerines. That's so nice. Oh, I miss this ones.
After a good feed at the nearby Lidl, I surely felt strong enough to continue. So we rode onwards to Starcross, on the bank of the River Exe.
You want to just walk and ask? Do you want to just go over and ask?
Yes. Yes, I do. Alright, so we did want to take the ferry across there, but I think we're about 15 minutes late and the tide is too far out. That's a shame. Didn't really check the times, I just figured it would be running a bit later because all the other ferries seem to have been, but yeah, of course, it's tide dependent, isn't it? Yeah, nothing's running across there, is it? So without a better option, we rode north along the cyclepath towards Exeter, with the idea of taking a bridge across the river about 9 miles up. Do you see how dark it is? It's like only 5 o'clock. This isn't the sun going down, this is the dark clouds, the big old cumulonimbus clouds coming in. And they're gonna make us very wet. Just as the weather started to turn seriously dire, we spotted a pub called the Turf Hotel right by the path. Do you want to find somewhere to shelter? Yeah. We darted straight towards it, thankful they had a marquee set up in the garden in which to take shelter. So yeah, we're just thinking that maybe it's best to, I mean, it's another, I don't know, to get all the way around back to Exmouth cycling, it's another 15 miles, 14, 15 miles, or it's 3 miles back to the ferry and then we camp out somewhere tonight and then just take the ferry tomorrow. As it happens, we didn't miss the ferry today because it wasn't even running, I think because of COVID stuff. So
first ferry is tomorrow morning.
First ferry is 1st of May, which is tomorrow at 10:10. So we're possibly best just to ride back or, I don't know, find somewhere to camp out here.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow we can get up and get ready for that first ferry at 10:10. Oh no, it's options. We're just thinking, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm honestly happy just going back and taking ferry, to be honest.
Yeah. Decision made, and with the rain finally cleared up, we rode back the way we'd come, the plan to take the Starcross ferry the next morning. Now all we had to do was find somewhere to camp. With much of the land around here not looking very suitable for wild camping, we tried knocking on a couple of doors to see if anyone would agree to us camping out in their garden.
Sorry.
No, absolutely no problem. After a couple of polite rejections, we stumbled across Ron, who took pity on us and was more than happy for us to pitch up.
God, you look like a martial arts expert. You're about to take my jaw out.
There was definitely a moment back there, getting drenched out on the cycle path, that we both questioned why we decided to do this. But now stood in Ron's garden, watching the sun go down and drinking some hot tea, we were reminded that it's moments like these which make the whole trip worthwhile. It truly had been a wonderful ride, but it felt right that it would soon be coming to an end. 100 miles was now all that stood between us and our finish point in Poole. So be sure to tune in next time for the final instalment of our tandem cycle tour around the southwest coast. The southwest coast of the UK stretches from Minehead in Somerset right the way around to Poole Harbour in Dorset. The challenge Ocala and I had set ourselves was to ride a brutally hilly 600-mile loop of its length on a two-person tandem bicycle. As you've seen over the course of this series, so far this has been one very exciting adventure. We now had just 100 miles to go until we reached Poole, the southwest coast finish marker and the end point to our ride. I really hope you've been entertained throughout this series, watching us tootle around the British coastline, and that you'll enjoy watching this final episode of our final few days riding around the southwest coast of the UK on a bicycle built for two.
What did you reckon when we came down the road last night?
Well, to be honest, the other week a couple turned up, a lady knocked on the door and the husband was stood back there, and I thought, aye. Apparently they'd just gone past the field there and they saw one of the bullocks in there tangled in barbed wire. So I asked if I was the farmer or whatever, so okay. And I thought, I can ring the farmer, and he went and sorted it. I thought, what the hell was bloody happened now when I saw you there? Who's got tangled in what? Okay. But I know you're welcome. Nice to see you both. All right. So get on, get cycling. All right.
The ride back along the river was a pleasant one. Unlike the day before, where we just kept our heads down and pedalled. Today, with the sun shining, we could look around and really enjoy cruising through this picturesque part of the country. And we are back. All we had to do now was catch the ferry to Exmouth, and we'd be back on our way, making progress along the coast. But before we could do that, there was one small obstacle in our way.
So he's got the bike up there. Three, two, one. 3, 2, 1. Try again. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Thank you very much, thank you.
Oh, he was nice, wasn't he?
Yeah.
God, that was a real struggle, actually. Triumphant that we made it over the railway, we strolled down the dock, relieved to see the Star-Crossed ferry moored up, ready to make its first crossing of the day. The odyssey of getting over the River Exe was over, and we could now focus on the final stage of our mission. 100 miles was currently all that separated us and our finish point in Poole. We were tired, but also motivated to complete the journey. So we got back on the bike, put our heads down, and began pushing out the final miles.
Without rain. Wow, beautiful.
We're getting there, it's just bums chafing a little bit. Big, hard effort.
making pretty good progress today, haven't we?
Yeah.
We're just coming into Weymouth, which is quite exciting. But we're both quite tired.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, all the miles we've done is sort of catching up with us now.
We arrived at Weymouth seafront and were immediately struck by the eerie sight of half a dozen gigantic cruise ships moored up in the bay. The pandemic had caused the cruising industry to totally shut down, which had left these boats completely idle, looking like huge floating office blocks parked up along the Dorset coastline. While sitting there, admiring these ships and enjoying the final rays of sunlight, I realised that the last time that I was here was when I was just 19, about to set off on the biggest adventure of my life.
So, do you see that pier out there?
Yeah.
That's where I left the UK
Oh wow.
on the ferry to France. That was the last point of contact with the UK for about 3.5 years.
So you left from Weymouth?
I went from here, yeah, literally that pier over there, that's where I left from.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I think that's the last time I was actually in Weymouth, actually.
Yeah.
It was when I left on the unicycle trip. Yeah, I cycled from home 30 miles down here in the day.
Oh wow.
And then took the ferry across. It was a little ferry, they don't run it anymore, I don't think.
Yeah.
It was, Weymouth to St Malo in France.
Mm-hmm.
Boat pulled away and waved Weymouth goodbye in the UK.
It was fun to be back in Weymouth, this time not alone and on a completely different form of transportation. But I couldn't reminisce for too long, because with the sun pretty much set, it was important that we got moving again and found somewhere to camp before losing the light completely. There were a couple of campsites nearby, but none open unfortunately, so we just kept pushing, searching for somewhere suitable.
Getting dark, getting cold.
Night had now totally fallen, and we were still looking. We did come across a couple of potential spots, but not wanting to risk annoying any farmers, we decided against them and jumped back on the road.
Okay, we're turning on a roundabout.
In the end, at about 10:30, we did eventually find a spot in a random field in Owermoyn, a tiny village about 10 miles away from Weymouth. So we quickly threw up the tent and went straight to bed.
So the good news is that we're about 24 miles off our end point, just below Poole, at the southwest coast path end marker. The bad news is that today, in a few hours, there's going to be quite a lot of bad weather. Like wind and rain and like gusts up to 60 miles an hour. Like quite severe stuff. By field, onwards. Let's see how long it takes for the rain to catch us.
So the final day of the mission was upon us, and we'd entered a race against the weather. The storm was forecast to hit in the middle of the afternoon, so without dilly-dallying, we pedalled hard towards the finish.
Alright, we just swang round Corfe Castle. It's very pretty, wasn't it?
It was.
And now we're heading down, I think it's called the Purbeck Peninsula, to where we're finishing. We've got 7 miles. I mean, we've still got to ride home after this, but the official finish point is going to be the marker for the southwest coast path. We saw that one in Minehead when we started, and this is the one just outside of Poole. And the weather still hasn't turned on us.
Ooh,
baby.
It turns out that the final few miles to the coast included a wonderfully long downhill, so I took my fingers off the brake levers and decided to see what this tandem could do.
Yoo-hoo! Oh my helmet is flying!
36! 37!
That's insane!
Woo-hoo-hoo!
Oh!
41!
Oh, nice!
Woo!
41!
41 miles an hour is seriously no joke when riding a tandem, and we cruised down the final stretch with our adrenaline pumping, very excited to reach the end.
0.9 miles.
Great.
Less than a mile to go. Here we go.
The southwest coast really was a baptism of fire for us on our first semi-long distance tandem tour. The amount of climbing on the route was simply ridiculous, but we'd made it through.
Anyway, Ed,
Yes, I shall.
did you struggle?
Yeah, I struggled.
Yeah, there were hills that was...
Some of those hills were
and
just
the
mental.
A35 road.
And that one wasn't much fun.
It wasn't. I guess, you know, I've never really done such a long distance riding. This is my first time. The longest one was maybe 3 days, 4 days with you.
Yeah.
But this is the longest one, and I guess mentally was a little bit tougher for me. I think it's just, you know, when you're comfortable, you don't really grow, right? So you kind of have to be sometimes uncomfortable just to let yourself see what you're capable of.
Finally, after 19 days on the road, we spotted a large blue sign ahead, which we figured must be the end marker. All that was left to do now was ride up to it triumphantly and celebrate completing our tandem tour.
Shit. Oh, there we are. Well done.
Are you all right there?
I think I might have busted this. Woo!
We will just
Scoot it. There we go. Oh, well done. Right, shit. Should we get to the ferry?
Yes.
My God.
Oh.
And with that less than graceful arrival, we'd made it to the finish, and it felt pretty good. But of course, this wasn't quite the end of our journey, because we still needed to ride home. With the clouds around us getting darker, we decided that riding home would be a consideration for the next day, because currently our focus was on finding somewhere to escape the elements. We caught the car ferry across the water to Sandbanks.
Cheers, thank you.
Then made the short ride into Poole city centre.
10, 11, 12, 13 buses.
More! More! More and more!
Okay.
With the weather still deteriorating,
Look at the clouds, Ed. Look at the clouds.
and neither of us particularly keen to wild camp, we decided to treat ourselves to an Airbnb that night. And we were very glad we did, because just as soon as we'd brought everything inside, the clouds opened up and it absolutely chucked it down. I'm actually so happy that we're not out there tonight looking for somewhere to camp. My goodness. "70 miles was now all that stood between us and arriving home. So far on this trip, the longest we'd ridden in a day was just 45 miles. But we were feeling motivated, so decided, you know what, why not try and cover the 70-mile distance in one big push? So we packed up the panniers, jumped on the bike, and began our attempt to ride home in a single day. Yeah, it was never going to be that straightforward, was it?
Shit. I mean, it was going to happen eventually, wasn't it? This is first puncture of the trip, and first puncture since we've had the bike. Yeah.
As the tandem was still relatively new to us, there was still a lot that we needed to learn, and just getting the wheel off proved to be a real challenge. First, after a bit of Googling, we learned that we needed to put the roll-off hub into its highest gear, and only then could we disconnect it from the wheel.
Really? Gosh, that feels wrong.
With that done, we could take a proper look at the damage.
The whole tyre just... What did we go over? Yeah, I thought we'd just gone over like some thistle or something and it just gone into the tyre, but the whole side of the tyre is like split.
There was nothing left inside the tyre, so we could only guess at what might have caused it.
I don't know, some glass or some rock, or I just don't want the whole tyre falling apart and we're going 40 miles an hour down a hill, you know?
I don't know what to do. I haven't got enough experience to know if that's actually going to be safe or not. Deciding that it would most likely be fine to ride on, we threw a preventative patch on the inside of the tyre to stop anything else making its way through the hole.
Some more air into it.
It took us 2 hours in the end to deal with this puncture, which for someone who spent 3 years cycling around the world is quite frankly just embarrassing to admit. But hey, we got there eventually and learned a lot about the bike in the process, so it wasn't all wasted time. With the wheel finally fixed, we left the forest with 65 miles still ahead of us. Yeah, this was going to be one very long day.
Yeah, we had a bit of a slow morning, but we're picking it up now. The stupid headwind is really slowing us down, but we're getting there, aren't we? Yeah. We're 46 miles from home. It is 5 o'clock basically. I don't know. I feel like we're both kind of keen just to push on home, aren't we? Yep. So maybe we'll do that. We'll see. We might push through the night, but yeah, if we do, it'll be a late one. My estimate is that we'll be home at between 12 and 1.
We were looking on the map today and there was like one big hill between Poole and home, and we were thinking, oh, that's going to hurt. That's going to be a big climb. Actually, we've barely felt it, have we? Our legs have got so used to the coastal hills, the hell that is the southwest coast, that yeah, we barely noticed it. Oh my.
But you're still out of breath though. No. I was just, it's a breathing technique. It's you do it to re-energize. We've got around 20 miles there.
20 miles, and it's 8 o'clock. So I reckon we'll be home just after 10, maybe, if we keep moving.
Yeah, I feel my knees hurting a little bit now. Yeah. It's saying like, hey, you've done much for today. Yeah. Stop.
Yeah, I suspect tomorrow you'll feel pains which you didn't know you had. Your body's just like, okay, don't need to work anymore, we can just chill out.
It's all mental thing, is it?
It's a very mental thing, yeah.
For the second time on this trip, we found ourselves pedalling into the night. But this time, instead of searching for some random field to stealth camp in, we had a very definite destination in mind.
I just want to get home.
Me too. I just want to get home.
It's been a good trip.
Want to get food.
But it'd be nice just to put an end to the riding for a little while. Yeah, food's a good idea.
And just after 10:30, we turned the last corner and could finally see home.
We've done very well.
We came. We're already there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well done.
0 miles.
0 miles to go.
So that was it. Ocala and I had made it back, and our 600-mile loop around the southwest coast of the UK was complete. While this expedition perhaps wasn't as long or as grueling as others I've tackled in the past, it felt just as meaningful, because we'd planned and executed this one together.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
The tour had been a total joint effort, in the very literal sense of the word, and I'm very proud of how we dealt with the challenges that this ride had thrown at us over the last 3 weeks.
Wind and hills are not the best combination.
No.
It was really lovely being able to share with Ocala some of the beautiful locations that coastal England has to offer. And for my own sake, after having spent most of my 20s outside of the country, it was wonderful being back in the UK, making an adventure happen in the place that I grew up. This trip had proved to us that tandem bicycling really was a tremendous way for us to travel together.
41!
Oh no!
And as we walked the bike to the front door to see if my parents were still up, we were already beginning to consider the many other exciting destinations that our trusty green tandem could take us.
How are you?
Well done. Ooh, yeah, you've done really well, haven't you?
We really pushed. We really pushed.
Yes,
Spot
hello.
on.
I thought when you perfume.
When you perfume. Very good.
Yes. Well then.
Yeah, we weren't really expecting to come home today. But then we just kind of kept going and we thought, actually, you know what?
Oh, well, I had money on it when you said, oh, we might just push. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get the bags off and we'll sort this out. Oh, dear.
Unpack you.
1 second, just let me.
Yeah.